Hello, this is Steve from the Agile Mastery Academy, and today I am absolutely delighted to introduce to someone I believe is a real trailblazer in the industry with a solid, strong background in human resources and project management, where she spent her early career before moving into consultancy, notably spending 15 years with ING in the Netherlands as a senior HR consultant and leading an agile transformation, working with senior leaders before setting up an agile consultancy, Twinkster, in 2020, and the Twinkster Academy in 2022, a change catalyst, executive leadership coach, Obeya expert, and keynote speaker, plus author of Purpose Driven People. Welcome to the show, Alize Hofmeester.
Thank you, Steve. Well, that's quite an introduction, right? And we already know each other also for a couple of years.
Yes, we have, and incidentally, we properly met face to face at the Obeya Summit last
Yeah.
year, where we were both speakers, but we were unable to see each other's talk because we were on at the same time next door to each other. So we couldn't. We had to focus on our own talk. We couldn't watch each other's, which is a shame. But we got to meet each other nevertheless. So, Elise, welcome and thank you for joining us on the show. I want to start with your career and how you moved from your sort of early career in HR and into this where you are now in sort of coaching leaders and things. Talk me through a sort of a pathway for you. How did you arrive in this area?
My official background is in hospitality management. So I started to study in 1990 in
Mm.
Maastricht, a school for hospitality management. And after there, I had several jobs and functions in recruitment and later on in a health and safety company as a manager. So not from HR. But that, I think, in the health and safety company, there was a pivotal moment. When I started there, there was a reorganization going on. So, one moment in time, I walked into the office and I had a conversation with a consultant who was from an external company. And we started to talk about the way forward in the organization. And he had a drawing on his bureau. And I said to him, okay, what did you draw? What is it? What am I looking at? And he said, this is the new setup, the model, the operating model of the company, which I think would be a great model. And I said, oh, how so? And what do the people think of it? And said, the people think of it. We did not discuss this. And it's once in a while, it's a good idea to change from a central organization to a decentral one and vice versa. And I looked at him and I was really flabbergasted. I said, sorry? Is this the why of where we are going to? And I think that was really a pivotal moment for me because I will not explain, then we talk for hours, I think, what happened after that. But you can imagine that when the message was there, the announcement in the organization, that there was a lot of resistance from the people in the organization. And you can also imagine that people say, here we go again. And that's exactly what also was my thought. And I think there was the moment for me that I thought we can do this way better and different. So there was the first spark. After leading from a manager perspective the transformation, or it was reorganization back then, we did not talk about transformations or in that sense as we do today, but it was really a reorganization. And after that, in 2007, I started working with ING within the HR department. Did not have a background in HR, but I had a lot of experience with leading people through change, and that's really related to HR, right? And in ING, I also started to study or did an extra study about strategic HR and change management. And I started there when we had the merger of Postbank ING. And that was my next big role, but then from HR perspective in transformation. That was really a transformation. And then in 2014, when I was thinking, okay, what will I do next? I got a request to be part of the transformation team at the start of the Agile transformation. There, my Agile transformation experience started in 2014, 2015. And we started at the headquarters, then the call centers, and our transformation team was there for 2 years. And we made a lot of failures and we made a lot of good things. But I think the crucial thing was that we involved the people early in the process.
Yeah.
So we announced, the board of directors of the Netherlands announced the transformation, but there was a lot mentioned in wording like, it depends. So if questions came, then they said, it depends. We want to find
Mm.
out together with you. We want to
Hmm.
experiment if this is the way forward. And that was not something we were used to do, because we said, okay, we have a process, we have a setup, we do our change management, and there we go forward. But this was really a big change for everyone in the organization. So also from HR perspective, it was a huge change in thinking and stepping out of the silos, set the example as a transformation team, set up a transformation team that was multidisciplinary. So we worked closely together in the team with communication, HR, people from business, marketing, the board of directors itself. And I think that was how do you say that? The real success of the transformation, to really be working closely together and together with the people in the organization.
So like, so like a, it was the real reason that the transformation was a success,
Yeah,
because you had that golden thread all the way through. And I mean, obviously, your background is very much people driven. Your book is testament to that. And going back to that pivotal moment when you had your really long conversation with this change structure, or this um, I guess the catalyst around, was it then being more of a directive, like, we are going to change, we're going to become decentralized, this is going to be, this is just how it is, and almost like suck it up kind of thing. And you sort of, your uh, sensors went off, and you intervened in that point. Was that for you, like, realizing that actually people are at the heart of this, and so they need somebody like yourself to really drive it, right? That
yeah,
was the kind of real necessity in order to ensure success. It's not just about leadership at the top, but also people being at the very heart of it.
yeah. That's, I think that's exactly what it is. People are the heart of your organization, and that's also
Mm,
what I strongly believe. My
mm,
book is purpose driven people creating business agility and sustainable growth. Your organization exists of people. If people are not there, yes, now we are talking about AI agents, and so on. But
mm,
still, then they are not going to lead your organization without you. So maybe
mm,
there will become a moment that we support the AI agents, but still, people are the foundation of your organization. Without people, whether it's the employees, the leaders, the customers, without the people, you do not have a company.
mm. Yeah.
And that was for me the essential and the crucial thing, and the realization um, in that moment in time. It's years ago, and of course, I was not able to change it directly, but I could make it better.
Hmm.
And there, I think my mission started to really start working closely together with the people, what's going on. The people at the front who are working with customers and with other stakeholders, they know what's going on. And that is something that I really liked about the transformations within ING, but also later on when I started my own company with the companies I help. If leaders realize that, then you get a far better transformation to the future, because it is a journey. You are not there from day one to day two. No, there is a journey in between, and sometimes you fall back. But if you stay closely aligned with people and aligned with your customers, then you are better able to adjust, adapt, and maybe be a step ahead. So not only responding, but being ahead of the game.
Yeah, and also it's really about bringing people on board and bringing them along that journey. You know, it's a lot of the time, in my experience, you know, people, they suffer the pain way before leadership will suffer the pain, and their senior leaders will suffer the pain. And so in order for a transformation or a change initiative to be successful, we have to understand what that pain really looks like to really establish
Yeah.
not only how do we fix it, but how do we make sure that our people are brought along on the journey, but also driving it, right? You know, that they're fully on board and part of it. Not everybody. It's not for everybody. Some people will be resistant naturally. That's just, you know, human nature. But you will have people who will want to be a part of it and be involved. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
but coming back to what you say, some people will be resistant, but I don't believe that it is real resistance.
yeah,
People have a background like you and me. We are
mm.
working already for years,
Lots
and
of years for me.
lots of years. So we have certain experiences, like what the people said back then in the health and safety company. They said,
Mm.
"Oh, here we go again."
Yeah,
And that means not only resistance, but they have an experience from the years before and they see what is happening and they
mm.
do not believe in it.
They
So,
don't
as
trust it.
leaders, and trust it that it's
Yeah,
going the right way now. So, they
mm.
will wait and see. But
Mm.
if you can change that, so it's not resistance, but if you say, okay, what do you mean with that? Here we go again. And
Yeah,
really listen to what they have to say.
mm.
I think
Yeah,
then the resistance is an opportunity. And
hmm
then you can change and can bring people along in your journey. But
mm.
then you need to take time for that, and that is something that most people, leaders, organizations do not do. They don't take the time to really listen to what is going on the floors, what people feel, what people face. Resistance starts the moment that you have an announcement.
Mm.
And the announcement itself is not the only thing they resist to, but it can be just the thing that makes everything what is already going on in our lives explode.
Yeah, and it may be even before the announcement because rumors will start, and the messaging
Absolutely.
needs to be really clear,
Yeah,
and the tone and the support, the offer of support,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So I've got two questions on this theme because it's a big passion of mine as well. We share that.
yeah.
The first is why why is it that it, this the people are not necessarily considered at the heart, or maybe they are, but not given the right level of support, um, and that messaging isn't clear. That we've got a real gap between what is, you know, going back to your health and safety company, that it's seen as forced upon change rather than a collective change, if that makes sense. Like we're in this together, we're driving together, and that people are on board, and we've got a support mechanism all the way through. Why is it that that doesn't always happen, do you think? So that's question one. And the second question, the second question is, do you see yourself as that linkage between the people and a sort of leadership or senior leadership team? Are you that? Do you see that that's there? Perhaps a third is that what is the real need here? That we need to have people like yourself as a representing the people, I suppose. What do you think?
Yeah, that are two really great questions. And I would say we need to stop wanting to be perfect. Why do I say that? Because most leaders grow from a job they grow to the next step, they have a career, they start to become a manager, they start to become a leader in the organization, and maybe to CIO, CEO, etc. And the more you reach the top of that organization, the more leaders think they need to be perfect and have the answers. And why do I say that? I will give you an example. I was leading in the first year of setting up my consultancy. I was helping an organization to set up their agile transformation. They wanted to go agile, like they said themselves. And they also faced a problem with, okay, we do not really have our strategy sharp. So can you help us with that? And there we started first. It was during COVID. So we started first with putting everything on a whiteboard and in Miro. And they were
Mm-hmm.
not really used to do that. So we started with, they had a great purpose. So that was not
Mm-hmm.
the issue. They had the strategy. That was also pretty much clear. Great story, really something you could believe in. What you
Mm-hmm.
thought, okay, this is helping us forward. But then it became difficult because what initiatives should we work on first to move towards that strategy, to move towards our new organization, our new way of working? How can we be successful in our transformation? So there were two things that were difficult. It was, how do we measure success?
Mm-hmm.
When are we successful? And what initiatives should lead to that success? And I saw it and I thought, okay, I step back. Let them experience how it feels and why they face their struggles. And then one moment in time, the manager or the CEO of that company said, Alize, why is it so hard for us to make this clear? Why are we struggling to really set the next steps? And everyone looked at me in the camera and I said, okay, do I need to explain or do you need know the answer yourself? Because I think you know.
Mm-hmm.
We took a break, we came back, and the CEO said, I know what the problem is. We just do not have enough information from our people and from our customers. The landscape is changing. It was COVID, and they had a huge role in setting up the test, etc., for the COVID test. And then I said, okay, but what do you want to do about it? Because it's not that difficult, I think, to understand better what the step forward is. And so the next steps were to set up a meeting and they invited everyone online and they shared their story. Very vulnerable and very honest. What the problem was, what they faced, their struggles. And then they said, because every leader of the team shared their story, their personal story, because it was different for everyone. And there the CEO also said, we have huge solutions to take. We have a problem here. And we have to make decisions. And we don't want to do that on our own. We want to do that together with you because you are important for us and for our organization. The question is, what do you want?
Mm. Hmm.
And
What do
then
you
we
need?
were
Mm.
silent.
Hmm.
Everyone thought, I don't know what they thought, but I saw their faces. And then one moment in time, one of the engineers said, I have some ideas. Can we set up a session for that? Or can we talk with each other? Can we do a hackathon or whatever? But I have some solutions where we can maybe start with and what we see in the hospitals and in the field. And there everything came together, and there the real transformation started.
Right. What was that then? Do you think was that um, somebody taking a leap of faith, and then was there then a kind of people seeing others going forward, stepping forward, and then others join? Was it down to the CEO showing vulnerability?
It's never one thing, right?
Mm.
So the people in the organization already saw things happening in their environment, and they were with each other in the team already talking about, okay, what can we do? We have struggles. I was
Mhm.
part of a transformation team in that company, and I was helping them to set up the transformation. What do we have to do? Do we want to go? In the meantime, I also coached the leadership team. But of course, I also heard things in the field because I was connected together with the people of the transformation team, with the people in the teams. So we were a bit of, if you talk about, are you the linking pin? Well, I
Mm.
think not me personally, but as a transformation team,
Mhm.
which should include HR, by the way, you are the orchestrators of change.
Mm.
You are not leading the change and the transformation yourself, but you are the orchestrators and you have a role to play. It's your duty to be that linking pin between the people in the organization and between the leadership to bridge that gap and
Mm.
to set the leaders also up for success and to set the people up for success and bring them together.
I share it. It's vital, and it's something that it it's a rarity, um, where you get called into a transformation as a coach, and you're looking around and saying, well, where's HR? Where is the support? Lots of people, lots of questions asking, what do we do? Where we, what does it mean for my role? And yet there's HR a distant sort of support mechanism way outside of the transformation, but the transformation team has to have HR inside it, right? Has to have,
Absolutely.
with a strategy, with a support structure and that kind of thing.
That is so, sorry to interrupt, but that is
Sorry.
something that we are not used to.
Mm.
In most organizations, these kind of things, these transformations, especially now the digital transformation, starts from business.
Mm.
It's sometimes it seems as they are always a step ahead. But what they forget is to align with the HR department.
Mm.
It's almost always too late. So it's a two-way. Also, the leaders in the organization, whether they have a role in a department from business, marketing, whatever, or IT, but also the executives, they need to understand what it means to drive and lead such a transformation. So what you see, yeah, in the business agility researchers, year after year, already for 7 years ahead, the Business Agility Institute is doing a research, and every year the report states that leadership capabilities, nah, are crucial for the transformation, but that
Mm.
people and leaders do not have these modern leadership capabilities yet. And change readiness is one of the things that every leader should be. You should know what it is, what change management means, and what it means for the people in your organization to go through such a transformation, to really lead it, and to
Mm.
lead people through the change.
Because it's all about people. It's
Yeah,
it's a fundamental part. You cannot change anything without the people involved, as you mentioned
no,
before.
yeah,
Um, and it links to culture fundamentally. Culture is a huge thing, and I wonder whether is it a fear factor perhaps that I mean, you mentioned about vulnerability, and I'm a big advocate for Brené Brown's mission of showing
yeah.
vulnerability in leaders. I'm sure you've um, uh, studied that.
Yeah.
Is it a fear thing? Is that actually bringing HR into the center point of the transformation, that there is that they themselves will be shown up for their own lack of, fill in the gap, whatever. Is that the reason? Do you think?
And then you mean, Steve, to make it clear, the fear for the people in the HR or fear from leaders to do so?
I think fear from leaders.
Yeah.
It's the answering my question around why HR are not very much in the centerpiece of the transformation.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I don't think it's really fear, but I not fear for the HR department, not fear for what you hear from the HR business partners, the CHROs, but it's maybe the fear for doing something about your culture. And HR cannot solve that problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I see in organizations, what leaders, not every organization, by the way. So there are organizations who are really closely aligned with HR, and the CHRO is part of the executive team.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Perfect. Yeah.
And still then you face struggles, but that's good. But there are also organizations who do not have the CHRO on
Mm-hmm.
board in their executive team. And they make culture a big thing. It's a big word. But if something's going wrong in the organization related to people, to behavior, to skills around it, they look at HR. And I always say, but HR cannot change that.
Mm-hmm.
Leaders are the first to be able to change it because they have the connection with the people in their team, but they fear to have the right conversations. They think that a system or an HR department can solve that problem, but that's not true. They need to look at themselves and to understand, okay, I have a role to play.
Yes, and but it is. I mean, this is a fascinating insight. I- Is is it because so part of the role of HR then is it to bridge that gap to non to known knowns, to want to a better of a phrase, is that they sort of known unknowns. They know that they have a gap, and that HR's role then is to help. If you're a leader of a department or a team, to that HR's role is to sort of ensure that that leader will have a the knowledge and skills to be able um, to sort of to support the team and change behavior, change culture, and these kind of things.
Yeah.
So, like you say, HR doesn't actually, it isn't the driving force behind that change. It's to provide the tools.
Yeah, the tools, but also the trainings, the programs, the coaching,
Yes,
the
yes.
mentoring,
Mm-hmm.
so people understand what is necessary. That's absolutely something HR can support with, and not only can, but have to.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have to ask different questions. So, if, for instance, organizations have a lot of projects, and more projects are, of course, and the success is related to how people use it. So, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, an easy or easy, but changing your performance system. If you only look at the system, the digital system, where we have to put things in, that's just a system, but it doesn't help you to do better performance reviews. And we have to ask the question, why do you want another system? What's wrong with the current one? Why doesn't it help you? And dive deeper and deeper and deeper and challenge, because one department wants this from a system and the other wants something else. But in the end, we have currently such a program and project, but in the end, it's all about behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Both departments end up in the last asking why, if you ask the 5 whys, that is related to the behavior and how are we able to really do good performance reviews so that we can develop people and that we know how to go and to help them and to help them in their journey, in their development, and learn new skills, etc. But therefore, you need to have the right conversations and not only having a system in place. And that's, I think, the role of HR. This is just an example, but the role of HR is really about bridging also those gaps and then facilitating how to continue the journey.
And how to implement it, how to
Yeah, how to
build the capability and these kind of things.
absolutely building
Yeah.
skills, grow that muscle, change mindsets, change
Mm-hmm.
behavior. How can you do that? That's really the area of HR.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so really, in order to ensure that a transformation is successful, it's absolutely pivotal to have representation, to have this transformation unit with HR involved from the outset. I just want to change gears slightly,
Okay.
if I may, and I want to talk about your book because you mentioned it a couple of times, and I just want to get a bit of an insight for the listeners as to the purpose behind the book, the experience of writing the book as well, and how has it been for you in terms of being an author and that kind of thing.
Yeah. It never started with do want to write a book.
Mm,
Never. But during the transformation, the agile transformation, the first one in 2015 and the years after that, I started to write down. I traveled by train from home to my work and vice versa. And there were so much things going on. Oh, they were also new for me. So it's something we did not do before. So you don't have the answers, right? It's unknown. And I started to write down things to clear my head and to structure, etc. And then one moment in time, that was in 2017, after 2 years of the transformation in the Netherlands, our team was ready with leading the transformation. So we embedded it in the organization, and leaders and employees brought it further. Then I got a new job within HR and a lead role, and it was really great. And everyone congratulated me with it, and I said, "Okay, thank you." And I started, but something felt off. And after 4 months, I thought, "Oh, where's my energy? My energy of before?" And I couldn't put a finger on it. Then we had a pilot of a leadership program where you could create your purpose, and creating your purpose, but really exploring your purpose. And my agile
as an individual.
as an
It,
individual,
ah.
it should become part of the leadership program within the
Mm-hmm.
organization. And
Mm-hmm.
I was part of the start of the pilot and exploring that purpose. So I went there with 20 other colleagues, and from that moment on, something happened. it's really a journey to dive into your purpose. You have your purpose. It's already there. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
something you are going to find or to read in a book, but it's here, but you need to take it out. What is it? What are the crucibles which make you who you are today?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you doing the things you do? And why also do you feel that the energy is lacking? Because that comes from something. And mostly it is related to something that you do not want to do. It's not part of who you are, but you do it because someone else asked it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you have to do things that you do not like too much, but there needs to be a balance. And then um, after one day, I started to write, and it became very clear for me what was going on. So I started to write down my purpose with the execution plan, etc., etc. And my mentor said, "Be careful what you wish for because it may come true." And
Mm-hmm.
everything I wrote down for the next couple of 3 years became true.
Wow.
I also wrote myself out of the company. I
Right.
said, I start my own company. I want to write down what I experienced so I can help others to do the same, or to do the same, but to learn from it. Not from a consultancy perspective, but from really someone who was with the boot on the ground.
It's deeper. It's deeper than that. And
Yeah,
was this. Did you feel like you were going into this then, like beforehand, or was it the fact that you really started to explore it deeper and internally deeper?
yeah, it was the conversations we had with the people who were part of the program were really intense.
Mm,
So it's a real intense journey, and also sometimes very emotional.
mm-hmm,
But you faced your own truth,
mm-hmm,
and also what steps you have to take, and what happens if you don't. So it's not that you must do other things, but if you really want to live your purpose from your values, your principles, your crucibles, and what you have to do in life, because it's not only about your job, it's something you have to do in life. So also on a personal level, also with your friends, your family, your
mm-hmm.
kids, etc. And from that moment on, I was so inspired that the first day after the program, I walked a different way to the office. I met the program manager from the first transformation in 2015. I explained what happened, what I was doing now, and then he said, "Oh, but that's nothing for you that you have that role. But we are starting a global transformation in the same organization, and I want you to be part of that." That also meant that it was a temporary role. So I could not go back to my former role. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
"That's okay. I will do." And well, then everything started to happen like I would like to have it in my purpose. Yeah.
Did you see it as like a serendipitous moment that you took a different journey to work and you stumbled upon or bumped into your program manager and then suddenly your career took a pivot, but all because of this? It's almost like like a calling or something.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's an energy, it's a calling, it's something you are so inspired with. And I started to talk about it with a lot of people, and everyone saw the change. So
Mm,
they also said you have to do something different. This is so inspiring, and also for yourself. I see the energy coming back, said my coach. So I started to do that, and it didn't matter if what I would be in 2 years or 3 years. You cannot
mm,
predict the future.
mhm.
You have to live it now.
Yeah, yeah, and see where the path takes you, right? And you never know.
Yeah, but
Wow.
the good thing also is about understanding your purpose from a personal perspective, but also from an organizational perspective. If you understand as an organization what you have to do in the world, what is your purpose? What is your mission? What are your values? What are your principles? Then, if something goes wrong, you can always go back to that. So, also now today, when we see that AI will have an impact on the organizations, organizations also should go back to their purpose and to really redefine their organization. What kind of company do we want to be? And how can then the new tech help us to stay true to our purpose? Or maybe your company will not exist anymore and you build another one. Could also.
In its current guise, it might not exist, and it's using AI to become an enabler rather than a disruptor, which is what it could very easily become.
Yeah.
Um, Fascinating. So for you, then setting up your company, Twinkster. Did I pronounce that right,
Yeah, yeah,
Twinkster?
yeah, very good, very good.
I love the name. It's like we have a chocolate bar called Twix, so it's very similar. um,
But it also means something, eh, Twinkster. It's not just the chocolate. I know the chocolate bar,
you know the
by the way.
chocolate,
Yeah, 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 yeah. But it stands for Together We Ignite New Ways of Working and Thinking. So,
right? Okay.
yeah.
Ah, great. I like that. And so you set the company up, but this is all based on this real purpose and drive. And it's different to how people set up companies, right? That's that people set them up because they have a desire to run their own business to help others. Okay, fine, but I'm sensing that this is something that much deeper for you.
Yeah, because I experienced in the last 2 years that I worked in the global transformation.
Mm,
I also went to all kind of conferences and was also related to Agile People and the Business Agility Institute and so on, and the Agile Business Consortium. And
mm,
I met all kind of people from HR, executives, etc., and they were struggling with the same as what we struggled with. So they asked me, can you help us? Because you
mm.
have the experience in the field, not
Yeah,
just only from consultancy perspective, but really you experienced it
you've lived
yourself.
and breathed it, right?
You lived it.
Yeah. Mm,
And that's also when I thought, okay, maybe now the moment is right. After the 2 years, also helping the organization globally,
mm,
it was also a bit of a moment that we set up things in all kind of countries, and it was almost ready also for our team. We already spent more time, not 1 year but 2 years, and then
mm,
I thought maybe this is the right moment to change and to set up Twinkster. So yeah, and to help other companies also in their journey, and every journey is different. But
mm.
yeah, that's really the purpose. It was already written down, but not exactly when.
And that's
And
where you
that
sort
was,
of structured it and got it into
yeah,
place.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I want to talk about Obeya because you are as I mentioned before, we met at the Obeya Summit. We both share a great passion for it. Um, a couple of things. First of all, what is it? Because there will be people here who've probably never heard of it before. I love it. I think it's an amazing initiative or framework, shall we say? But also, how did you get into it? What was the area through ING, I believe? But how was it for you? And what has been the where do you sort of see it right now and functioning right now for you?
Yeah. Well, my first experience with Obeya, and Obeya, by the way, is Japanese for big room. So
Mhm.
that's not that difficult, right? And but there is a whole philosophy behind it, and I cannot explain that now at all because then we need a whole day, I think.
Yes.
But my first experience with it, and by the way, it was not called Obeya back then, was also in that agile transformation. We started to put everything on the wall. So brown papers, our strategy of the transformation, what was also, of course, the roadmap, but things changed every week. So we started also to work in the transformation team in sprints and planned for a week ahead. And sometimes we had to adjust. Of course, we had an idea where to go, but we were able and better able by working in sprints to adjust along the way. But it was so much that we thought, and our agile coach said, why don't you make it visible on the wall? And there I started to work with it, and it was a real eye-opener for me because we had a great overview, we had better communication in the team, we saw what was done, but also where did we struggle with? What happened if someone was not joining or was sick? How could we take over? And where did we need other expertise? So we started very basic. And later on, in the journey itself, in the organization itself, we had to set up a governance. So how would we visualize that? And there we started to work with the Obeya, and the people who brought it further of the Obeya Association also worked within ING. So everyone who were the first starters with it, they started there. Who I know, so they started there. And what it helped me personally a lot. It helped me or our team, the transformation team. And one moment in time, also our executives, every time they changed their thinking, and they said, okay, but maybe we can shorten this, but not really understanding what the impact was for us. For instance, we had all kinds of pizza sessions organized to work on the values and the behavioral part of our function profiles and the new behavior we wanted to see. So a lot of people were involved in those pizza sessions, but we also had a recruitment process. And then suddenly one of the executives said, okay, but can we shorten the recruitment process so that we can give the people feedback earlier in process before the holidays? And we said, okay, yes, we can do so, but let me show you what the impact is on the other topics we have. And I invited her in our Obeya. It was not really the Obeya, but in our room. And then she said, oh, wow, do you have everything visualized here? I said, yes, everything is visualized. So here you can also see that we have two value streams, one with the values and the behavioral profile, and the other one is the recruitment part and the hiring process. So if we have to scale up the hiring process, so we shorten it, then we can or scale up and need to hire people from abroad, or we do it with our people, but then we have to downsize the pizza session or to cancel the pizza sessions, and that would really be a disaster. And that's where they also saw the benefits of showing it this way.
Because they can see the impact.
They can see the impact.
Right.
And we are also used to work in a more ad hoc way. That's how our brains work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we always say, okay, this is coming in, and start to work on it. Instead of first diving in, okay, but what is really the problem? What problem do we want to solve? And who benefits from the solution?
Yeah. I link it to a team of detectives investigating a murder. If you have all of the information on a wall, it helps you to think much clearer because you can see how everything pins together. So it's really powerful, and it's live. It's a live organism, isn't it? You can see it just exactly how everything functions.
Yeah. It's also because sometimes people ask me, but is it not that you just put a presentation on the wall? And I say, no, if that would be the case, then you are playing theater.
Yes.
Because yes, there are organizations who do that, but that's not what it is about. It's about a space where people come together, collaborate on what is necessary, plan together, decide on what we should do and what we should not do, or what comes first, because it doesn't mean that if you have 8 projects or 8 initiatives, that you should work on everything at the same time. Sometimes you cannot work on everything at the same time, but it doesn't also not mean that they fell off the table.
Hmm.
No, you prioritize them in a different way.
Exactly. And then
Frame
by
it.
doing having it visual, you can see where it all ties
Yeah,
in.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely. It's a mirror. I always explain it's a mirror of your organization. It's a mirror of
yeah.
your department. So you immediately see what is there,
Hmm.
but it's also very interesting to see what is not there.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. And it enables the conversations to happen, right? You've got the different functions, different teams, all working together to actually map it all out or identify where the gaps are. So, how does someone get into Obeya? What is the starting point, or what would be a good way for people to to sort of start exploring it and figuring it out?
Well, I think it would be a good thing to read about it first, but
Hmm.
you need to understand to working with the Obeya, there's a philosophy behind it, what I already mentioned before. There are principles behind it and values. So you first need to understand what that means and how this then can work for your organization.
Hmm.
So, what is the problem you want to solve? Can I find it in the principles, in the principles of the Obeya? And where can I start then first? And really diving into that, doing the Obeya fundamentals, what I mostly say, based
Hmm.
on that, and understand, have the conversations with your team about those principles. So not only reading them, but also understanding if you and I are a team. So
Hmm.
what do you understand about mindset and purpose, etc. What go through all the principles and find out which principles, which part you want to work on first.
Hmm.
And based on that, you can draft your first setup of the Obeya. Because that's different for every department. It's some departments really work on change initiatives, but if you have an operational team or department, you have other things to do.
Hmm.
So the
Yeah,
setup of the Obeya should also be different.
should be different.
Yeah.
What would you say to people who are spread out in different areas? Because the Obeya really works in a live room, physical room where you can just really see what's going on. But that's not always possible uh, for for teams, for organizations. How would you what sort how would you overcome that?
Well, we can also go online.
Yes.
So there are also organizations who do not have an office
Hmm.
and they work totally online, fully online.
Yeah.
And you can start working. If you are experimenting with it, I would not buy a real expensive system.
Hmm.
So then I would easy start with, for instance, Mural or Miro. You
Hmm.
can create a setup. Well, I mostly help the organizations and the teams with that and take it from there. And if you then think, okay, this is really working for us, then there are all kind of other digital solutions where you have the feeling that you are there standing in the room. A 360 Obeya is possible.
Wow.
You can just step in and it's there.
Which really just because it's just a challenge, isn't it? If we're in the if we're not in the room, it's just a challenge we need to overcome. Um, we are we almost at time, Lisa, and it's been lovely to talk to you. I just have one more question because just linking with Obeya really is how you see the future of organizational, well, say agile transformation or agile implementation. But let's link it with Obeya because Obeya is very much still in its infancy and how do you see it evolving? How do you see agile becoming, into the future? How do you see organizations needing things like Obeya from your perspective?
Well, first of all, I always say creating or agile or creating agility is not about systems. The
Hmm.
systems and the tools needs to facilitate that you create agility. Today, we need
Hmm.
agility. It's a must. We hear a lot in our environment that agile is dead and so on, but that's
Yes.
not the case.
Yeah.
I think if you say that as an organization or as a leadership team, then you do not understand what it is.
Hmm.
It's not the doing, but it's about the being. It's about your behavior, it's about your mindset and the capabilities of your system to
Hmm.
really come into a flow and stay a step ahead, following your purpose and know what to do when something is changing. And I think the working with the Obeya, the space you create, a safe space where people can speak up, can collaborate together with you because it's making use of the collective intelligence of all people. They know what is going on. You do not always have the right answer. Other people also have answers and pick the best and try to experiment with that. And experimentation becomes more and more crucial. We see that now also experimenting with AI. What is it? How can it help us? What problem are we solving together?
Hmm.
Experiment with it, create that environment. And the Obeya creates that environment. And as everything is uncertain, we do not know what is coming in a year or two, but we can predict how we work together. So when you set up the Obeya and your heartbeat, your rhythm, how you work together, then that is predictable for people. We know where to go to. We know with whom we can solve our problems. What the
Hmm.
answer is, we don't know yet. But that is something we need to experiment. And therefore, you have to create that mindset, that agility mindset in your organization. And if you are able to do so, yes, the Obeya can help you with that. But it's, again, a people thing.
And if you've got like a scrum master or an agile coach who are very much at team level, Obeya can still help them, right? We can, start small, and actually it could be a way for Scrum Masters, Agile coaches to actually um, become a lot more influential with their leaders and senior leaders by starting, experimenting with just their team, and then helping to scale that out. Would that be something that you would recommend as
Yeah,
a
yes,
starting point?
but the Obeya is we can work with visual management on team level,
Hmm.
but I would not call it then an Obeya
Right,
because the
right.
Obeya is really also about aligning from purpose to strategy to
Hmm.
execution and having the data, etc., to steer and give direction. So it needs to come from team level to department level. Yes, as a department, you can really work with an Obeya,
Hmm.
and but it's a bit about naming. But the Obeya gives you also insight in how the system functions.
Hmm.
So it's a systems thing, and
So
it gives you really that insight to connect those Obeya. So, because if you have everywhere an Obeya, then I don't know. It needs to come. It needs to come together. And on department level, I would say yes. On team level, that's the execution level.
yes,
So the
yes.
execution level, what you work on in the team, needs to be visible also in the Obeya on a higher level.
So it links all together and functionally, but
Absolutely. It
that's where the
links.
Scrum Master Agile coach can be
Yes,
useful, is by supporting that implementation. Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I sometimes I see that organizations say, okay, we started with agile coaches and now we think we can do it ourselves.
Yes.
That's fine. But I think that you always need people who have those skills, who can coach the team, who are objective, who
Hmm.
now can take a step outside the team and see what is going on. And the Obeya helps to connect all those dots to enterprise level, to really the entire organization, connecting everyone. And you have also in the Obeya, you have your rhythm on mostly on quarterly, in
Mhm.
quarterly rhythms, where you do the planning all at the same time. So all teams, all departments at the same time, so that everyone knows, okay, we are contributing here to that strategy.
Alize, it's been absolutely amazing having you on. Such fascinating insight and knowledge and experience of so many different areas. We could probably talk all day, I think, on these things.
I think
Um,
so, Steve.
Wonderful, wonderful. Just to finish up, where can we find out more from you? Where can we access the book and get involved with some of the work that you're doing? What's a good way to to share?
Yeah, of course, our website, twinkster.com, with an X, by the way, Twinkster. And I have my profile on LinkedIn, so people can follow me on LinkedIn. We just opened the Purpose Driven People community, which we will activate the coming months to help people set up in this transformation related, but yeah, on all topics we discussed about today. And my book, you can order it on Amazon.com.
I will put the links in the show notes. And Alize, once again, thank you very much for coming on and taking the time to talk through some amazing topics there. And yeah, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to have the conversation with you, and I hope to see you soon again.
Yes, of course. Yes, we must. We must. Thanks.
Yeah.